When Europeans first encountered Native Americans, they were told of all kinds of strange mythical creatures. In the Great Plains are skinwalkers, an evil shapeshifter able to take on the form of any animal or person. In swamps is the uktena, a terrible horned serpent. Just the sight of it can cause you to die of shock. In deep lakes lurk Qualupalik, an ugly humanoid with rough scaly skin. It is known to lure children towards the shore and pull them to their deaths. In wooded areas is the Skadagamut, a ghostly witch that forever curses any human it comes across. But no monster was as feared as the Wendigo. The name Wendigo has long caused a sense of dread, the mere mention of it being something of a taboo in many areas. Different tribes described the Wendigo in different ways, but all agreed they are created by and driven to commit cannibalism. Large and deformed, the creature is somewhat humanoid in shape, but with antlers and a half-decomposed body. Blood drips from its mouth, and ribs poke through its paper-thin skin. Wendigo are eternally starving. No matter how much they eat, their hunger is never satisfied. If anything, they only grow more desperate for food. And so they walk the earth wasting away, unable to die of starvation. Despite its enormous size, the Wendigo is nimble and quiet. It is able to sneak up on almost any person or animal and kill them in the blink of an eye. If not expecting a Wendigo, your only chance of detecting it will be the terrible smell. Their flesh rotting from the inside out, the smell of death follows wherever a Wendigo walks. This is the most common description given to the Wendigo, but this creature has almost as many variations as it has names. To some, the Wendigo is a 20-foot tall behemoth with slimy grey skin. Its heart is made of ice, and its eyes black as coal. On hearing these differing tales, the Europeans didn't know what to believe. Most dismissed the Wendigo as a primitive superstition, but many would soon claim to have seen the monster themselves. One document from 1661 records them as being so ravenous for human flesh they pounce upon women, children, and even upon men, like veritable werewolves, to devour them voraciously, without being able to appease or glut their appetite, ever seeking fresh prey, and the more greedily, the more they eat. This is just one of many reported Wendigo encounters. Such reports were especially common in northern Minnesota, where certain small towns would insist a Wendigo was lurking in the woods nearby. As late as the 1920s, people in these areas were genuinely scared of Wendigo. The man made most infamous by the terror was Jack Fiddler, a native chief in Canada. Though little is known of his background, he rose to prominence by killing several Wendigo, or at least, he killed what he claimed were Wendigo. Some would say they were just regular people who out of desperation turned to cannibalism, only then to be brutally killed by Jack Fiddler. But he and his tribe firmly believed they were no longer human. The law disagreed, and in 1906 he was arrested and charged with murder. His suicide after escaping jail only added to the mystery. For centuries, tribes in northern states were plagued by cannibalism, the harsh winters often isolating small communities and cutting off supply lines. According to legend, that is how a Wendigo is created. It does not happen overnight. Eating human flesh just once will not change you, but in time it will derange you, causing you to live only to consume more. And with that, your bones will break and reform, your flesh will begin to rot, your genitals and fingernails will fall off, and long antlers sprout from your head. This is the closest you will ever get to death, as while the Wendigo suffers constant pain, it is virtually immortal, destined to prowl the woods forever. One tale describes a Wendigo that was cut in half by a group of natives. Assuming it had bled to death, they returned to the area days later, only to find it eating the bone marrow from its own severed legs. Only after cutting off its head did local children stop disappearing. It was said Wendigo are at their most capable in snowfall, moving quicker than usual while humans were only slower. As I mentioned before, their frail appearance is deceptive. Wendigo are stronger and faster than any human who has ever lived. It has also been said they choose their victims very carefully, usually stalking them for weeks, before dragging a person deep into the woods to be eaten alive. No one knows why the Wendigo are so patient in stalking their prey, as with each day their starvation only grows more painful. It's one of many inconsistencies of the monster. Despite their unending aggression, Wendigo are solitary, and a lot of the time prefer to just be left alone, especially in the warmer, drier months. As far as we know, the Wendigo's only vulnerability is its ice-cold heart. Find a way to burn the heart and you have a good chance of surviving your encounter. But even after that, you will still need to bury its charred remains in a silver box. Otherwise, it may find some ridiculous way to re-emerge. Some believe that merely seeing a Wendigo is enough to drive a person insane. Many who survived encounters went on to be social pariahs, violently attacking their neighbours without warning. So perhaps it would be better to not survive a Wendigo attack. Another survival tactic is to stay perfectly still, as like many predatory beasts their vision is based on movement. Even at close distances, the Wendigo will have trouble seeing anything motionless. So if you find yourself in a Wendigo's path, do not move, do not make a sound, and be careful where you stand. But they are not foolish creatures, having all kinds of ways to trick you into revealing your location. They can even mimic the sound of a human voice, to make it sound as if somebody in the distance is in need of help. For centuries they have used this trick to lure victims into remote wooded areas, leading parents to warn their children never to stray, even if it sounds like one of their friends is lost and alone. To many, the Wendigo is the physical embodiment of all that is bad: cannibalism, greed, cunning, derangement, and pure evil. Some tribes claim they grow larger with each person they consume, and that certain Wendigo have been known to grow over 50 feet tall. This video was suggested by Caprosaurus Rex? It's something like that.